What's up, guys? This is Shane with Books and Brewskies here with Christian.
What's up?
We also have our first Zoom call in with Tanya Glick. Say hi, Tanya.
Hi.
Hi. Hello.
But of course, with this quarantine situation, we have to deal with these circumstances. Christian and I are still about like 3.5 feet away.
Let me pull out my ruler.
Right? 6 feet?
Let me pull out my ruler. Yeah, I don't know. Almost 6 feet. Far enough.
Far enough.
But we're excited for today's episode. We haven't had a guest on for a couple episodes, so we're excited to have you, Tanya. And she is reading our book of the month, You Are a Badass. Tanya, I said that to you. You are a badass.
Thank you. No.
Last week we said you are as Y-O-U-R-E.
Oh yeah, we said it wrong.
You were a badass. We were wrong.
You were a badass.
You were.
Where did you have your drink, Tanya? Where's your drink?
Oh yeah, I made sangria earlier.
Ooh.
So
Nice.
quarantine's going pretty well for me.
So Tanya's got sangria over there. We actually.
I got a special edition beer today.
Yep.
This is the limited edition Prospector series from Tommy Knocker. It's our second Tommy Knocker beer. Okay. This is a cherrywood sour brown ale. All right.
It's good.
What do you think, Shane?
It's good. It's like
I'm a big fan.
yeah. The sour, it's like a candy,
I'm a big fan.
It's different, I guess.
This
I don't
isn't
know,
like
it's different.
a true sour because I don't like true sours. I wouldn't say it's a true sour. It's a brown ale sour. I don't really know, but
Yeah.
if you go look at the description of it, I'm on Total Wine and Beverages website today. Colorado American Brown Ale of 5.2%. It's a kettle sour brown ale which is brewed with real cherry wood from Palisade, Colorado. Kind of cool. It's a good winter beer with a sour twist. That's basically what the description is. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's good. I like it. It tastes pretty damn good. I mean, you can definitely taste like the cherry in it at the end.
Yeah.
It's kind of a little cherry aftertaste.
It's a change up. I like it for a change up like beer. If you're just drinking for quarantine,
Yeah.
a little change up beer, I like it.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, Tanya, we have you on the show. We would like for you to introduce yourself and tell us a little about your life. I know I've known you since middle school here, so we've known each other for a long time. But yeah, give us like a little rundown about your life and kind of where you grew up, where you came from, and some stories about you, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, obviously, like Shane said, I'm Tanya, and I am a caseworker. I'm a child protection caseworker. That's what I do with my life now. But I grew up in the Elizabeth, Franktown, Colorado area. Which is like, I don't know, a lot of people don't know where that is. Even if you've lived in Colorado your whole life, you'd be surprised at how many people, like, I didn't grow up with, are like, where is that?
Yeah.
But basically, I just grew up living the dream. My parents had land, and my dad was the president, or still is the president for the Elizabeth Stampede, so I was always in rodeo. Some of my best friendships are through there. I mean, I don't really know what else, like, you guys want to know about my upbringing, but that was kind of it. I literally lived outside with my brother, and we went on adventures all the time. That's literally all I did as a kid. And then went to Colorado State University. When I went to Regis High School, I met Shane in middle school in 7th grade. Then we became friends, and we both went to Regis. And then I went to Colorado State University, got a human development degree there, and I lived in Texas for like 6 months, and then Hurricane Harvey hit, so I moved home.
Yeah.
Because I know where to live anymore, because I lived with my cousin, and her house flooded. But now I'm here, and that's it.
Yeah, no, that's good. What got you into like being a caseworker? What was like kind of the biggest calling for you to do that for your life?
To be honest, I didn't mean to be a child protection caseworker.
Yeah.
I always knew I liked kids, and when I went to college, I started as a psychology major, and I'm really bad at math. Like, I could not even pass the prerequisites.
Yeah.
So, obviously, psychology wasn't going to work for me, so I had to change my degree based on what math I could get into, and something similar. And then I also found out that, like, in order to do anything with a psychology degree, you almost need to have a PhD, which takes like 7 years to get.
Yeah.
I was like, not know, but hell no.
Yeah.
So, this is actually kind of funny. My brother's best friend's brother's girlfriend. I saw her at CSU, and I was telling her how she's a lot older than me. She was senior, and I was a freshman. And she was like, "You should become a human development and family studies major." So I looked into it, and I transferred majors, and I tried to do education, and then it kind of just led me into prevention and intervention, which I found out that I have a love for at-risk youth, and I was a mentor for Campus Connections, and then I was a mentor coach, so I coached mentors for Campus Connections, and then when I graduated, I spent a couple months in Texas, kind of messing around, and then when I came back, I was a juvenile corrections officer for Mountain View Youth Service Center, and I hated it. It was so awful. The kids are they hate their lives, so they're not going to be nice to you. Yeah. And I just was this isn't how, I don't want to be a part of the end. I want to be a part of the solution, the beginning. And a lot of these kids have been involved in child protective services. Their parents had messed them up in some way to the point where this is where their lives were. So I quit that job and became a caseworker. So I kind of it just was one step by step. I didn't really have a grand plan. The universe kind of just led me there. So
yeah, no, that's good. I mean, I think even looking at that, for you to help these kids out and help these people in need, what is kind of the biggest things that you've taken mentally on how much it's kind of affected you as a person and kind of how you change and view the world now?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, when it's hard to tell people what I do because they look at me and they're they instantly feel bad for me or sad for me or be "Oh my God, the things you must see, are you okay? How do you deal with that?" And all of that. And you don't go into it being I feel the normal population being "Oh my God, I'm going to see child abuse today," or whatever. You view it as this is my job. Kind of, you almost have to I know that sounds super kind of
compartment.
It's definitely disconnected. You have to disconnect with yourself with that, otherwise you won't make it. Casework has a high enough burnout rate as it is. You don't need to take those things home with you. However, there are, you can ask Morgan, my roommate, you can ask my mom, you can ask my friends. There are nights that I am a nightmare. I'm sad because these kids become your kids. So it's hard. Because, when I have the kid on the run and I don't know where they're at, especially during COVID-19 and with sex trafficking and all these heavy things, there's nothing you can do about it. So some cases I'm this is business, and other cases, there's always one or two that just get in there and kind of get you. But it's interesting to see the world now because I hate being in public places with kids. I hate it. Because I'm always have my safety assessment hat on now, where I'm "Oh my God, where's your mom?" Or "Why'd you grab your kid like that?" Just obviously it would never, but it just makes you feel get you out all the time. You have a duty, because I'm also a mandated reporter. So I have an obligation, just a doctor takes an oath to always, do the right thing and help their patients. I do the same thing. I have to take an oath to help children who are in at-risk situations, regardless of if they're my kids on my caseload or not. So it definitely has changed my worldview, but at the same time hasn't. I still go out on the weekends with my friends and drink too much, and just because I'm a caseworker doesn't mean I don't have time and do that kind of stuff too, just teachers.
Well, even going into that, that's kind of how it talks about in the book a lot, is your subconscious thoughts of you saying now you're almost looking for what's going on with these kids and overprotected about it, and that's a tough thing that you got to deal with. And we've been talking about your subconscious thoughts of how do we go about life where we consciously try to live this life and then subconsciously we think completely differently, and how do we connect those two to have a more normal or more successful life. And I think a lot, and that's what she says in the book, a lot how our conscious mind just wants to do the best, but our subconscious finally takes over. And I think a lot of people, I don't know, mentally for me, I think it gets to a point where starting to figure out either like meditation. I don't know what you do like for your, I don't know, because I asked you if you had a psychologist.
Yeah, and we have the option to do that, but to be honest, like, I feel like my work doesn't affect my well-being as much as just like my own personal struggles like everyone has. Like I was saying, like you were saying, like the subconscious and like, you know, it says in the book and stuff like that. I feel like because your work, when you put your work hat on, like, you know what you need to do. You know what I mean? It's our own life that we're like comparing our own things. Like this is taking another turn, but like I'm 25, I'm, you know, single, and I have a lot of friends who are in relationships. I have friends with kids, I have friends who are married. So I think that like when you talk about the subconscious thing there, like that's where I struggle more so than with like my job and being like on high alert all the time with that. I think I'm more on high alert just because like what am I doing in my personal life? And I worry sometimes that I'm so busy working that I'm not like I am only giving, I guess, my personal life or my personal thoughts 2 days a week. And like is that fair either? So
no, I mean, that makes a big point. I mean, Christian and I have talked about that. Like, when you were at Elite Speed, you talked a lot about when you were selling a lot, you were also spending work hours 24/7. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
it takes a toll on you because you don't take your personal life more serious, and then you're like, oh well, it's just about work. But at the end of the day, you got to collaborate with both, right?
I think that's the hard thing. Because like when I was selling, you know, over 10K a month in training, it was I was working 7 days a week, about 8 hours a day. It took a toll on my like mental stability. Not only like personally, but it also jeopardized, I wouldn't say it jeopardized, but it took a huge toll on the relationship I was in at the time, you know, and it led to a lot of negative outcomes. I resented one of the owners of the company for a while because he was pushing me to do this and they were pushing me this and that way. And I wasn't allowing myself to separate because I would go home, and sit on my computer for 6 more hours or on Instagram trying to, you know, generate leads or generate more sales or schedule people. And, you know, I'd go over to the girl I was dating's house and I would sit there and do the same thing. So it was literally, I was like disconnect from her, would never disconnect from work. And I'd just be over at her house, just there. And, you know, she's there trying to spend time with me, yet I'm sitting there spending time with work. And it took the biggest mental just toll on me to the point where I just burned out and had zero desire to continue to try to do what I was good at doing, you know. And now that I've left, life's been 10 times better. So I don't know.
I think that's like so hard, like especially when you work with people and do that, like to find that work-life balance. Because like, you know, caseworkers work salary, so like I work like 8 to 4:30, but like in reality, like I'm checking my text messages. I have my work phone right here. I'm on my work computer. Like, you know, like it's like removing yourselves from those things, and just like you guys, but like, you work with kids too, so you're like, you feel like it's for other people, but at the same time, like you can't lose yourself at the same time. So I try to turn my phone off at like 5 o'clock, you know, stuff like this. And like Christian was saying, like you have to like remove yourself. And sometimes when you're working so much, even when you're not working, you're still like working in your head. So I think that work-life balance is definitely like the hardest thing. And I think this book like has been really good for me in that regard. So like it has so many different levels of like, it's a self-help book, but I don't like consider it one. Just because I feel like it's geared towards young people who are just trying to figure out like what work is, what relationships are, what like dealing with life is, what you're like, just all these crazy things that come with the confusion of your 20s. I found it helpful in that regard. So
no, and I think, I don't know, the way I've like looked at it for a little bit, I feel like in our 20s, almost like we kind of get abused in a way in like the work life.
Or
like
pushed around
and I think the work, I don't know, for me, I feel like the world needs to change from like, yeah, the 20s just need to work their asses off to get where they need to get, and then like you're below everyone, and then you just have to spend all your time in the 20s trying to work and work and work, and then once you're in the 30s, maybe now you'll be up higher, and then in the 40s you're up higher. Like, I think it just needs to get to a point where us, like in our 20-year-olds, like us getting good degrees, us getting like being smart, we need to start being leaders. Like, we got to start like leading more of the pack and leading the next generation.
Yeah.
And that stuff I think is way more important now in our 20s. Like starting your own businesses, leading people. Like, it shouldn't matter about age. I get experiences. Experience is big. I understand that. But I also think I know a ton of 20-year-olds that could be way better bosses than like 50-year-olds. And it's just, I don't know.
It's funny. It's funny
It's
to say
true,
that because
though.
I think younger people, like now, we've been forced to like lead at certain points in like life, and now like you look at the people that are trying to lead us, and they can't connect with us at all.
Yeah, that's true.
My dad has this sign in his office that he's always had, and like he had it made because he loves it so much. The saying so much, it says, "Don't get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life." And like at the same time, like, you know, he built his business from the ground up and stuff like that. And I look at like the pressure that's put on us, like you were saying, to like have careers and do all this all at the same time.
Yeah.
And you know, I also have friends who have spent 6 months in Italy doing whatever the hell they, you know, being an au pair, just so they could figure it out, and taking fun random jobs that paid absolute shit, but it was like something that they could say that they did, like working for a big university for a football team, like stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, and then like my boss, for instance, she just turned 30, and that's like unheard of to have a supervisor in that young in child welfare, and like she's a badass. So like, I think that it's just getting over these stereotypes we have, like society has, that we have for ourselves, like all these things. Just like do what you want.
Yeah.
Like if that's being the boss of your own company, great. If that's spending a year abroad, great. If that's working towards your career and your family, great. Like all those things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's just a whole different than life than our parents' lives.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we have opportunity to do so much things that, like, you can go really do whatever you want. I know money matters, but I feel like, to me, like, I feel like in our 20s right now, like, money does matter, but I think we're looking more for, like, valuable time matters a lot to, like, a lot of us. That, like, we want to be able to spend valuable time and not work our lives away like our parents did a lot, because they had a different situation, or even our great-grandparents or our grandparents and stuff like that, right? Like, they lived in a different time where like work was needed, work was like, you had to do this. Well, now, and we've talked about it, like, you can literally do YouTube videos and make a living, or you can do something else. Like,
I mean, look at this, you guys have a podcast, like, and it's a hobby that could someday turn into something completely different.
Exactly.
So, I mean, like, our grandparents and our parents, like, were raised where like hard work is everything. Like, if you don't work for anything, you're not going to get anything. Where our generation just refuses to believe that in the regard to like, no, this can't be it. Like, these are supposed to be the best years of my life. Don't tell me I have to be working 70 hours a week to do it. Like, so I can someday potentially retire well when I can no longer move because I worked so hard. Like.
No, exactly. I mean, and that's what I pulled from the book, actually, was like her quote. It says, most people are living in an illusion based on someone else's beliefs. And she was talking about like the parents, like our parents, we get raised by our parents and they put all their beliefs on us, right? Mm-hmm. And then we live underneath like what they believe in until we finally find our own conscious and our own valuable and morals and say, actually, you know what, this is what I believe in. And she talks a lot about that.
Everybody's always trying to blame it on like the boomers, and they're always trying to blame it on the millennials and like stuff like that. But to be honest, like if it wasn't for my family, my parents' hard work that was instilled in them by their parents, I wouldn't have the opportunities that I have to make this decision on like, wait, hold up, what do I actually want to do? And like do these things. Like, I attribute where I am at because of how my parents were raised and then how they raised me. So like, I'm not going to knock their way of thinking, because I definitely, like, obviously it's different than us, and we're always, they definitely were probably more progressive than their parents and so on. so on. But like, I think it's important that we all acknowledge that like we all work together, and like someday we'll take care of them, and like this is just how it works. So I just can't imagine like, and I also, like I said, believe in like, we believe in hard work too. It's just in a different way. Like hard work we can enjoy. Like, it's maybe a passion.
Yeah. Well, I think it's hard. Like we see from our parents give us like a lot of those attributes that like we got to take into goods and bads of.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes, I don't know, I've seen like even my parents, they work their asses off, but sometimes I feel like they don't always do smart work. And there's like difference between like working your life away and also doing a smart work way too. And you have to kind of choose, like you got to work hard no matter what, which is great about life, but you also got to work smart too. And there's different aspects that we can take away from our parents, like their failures and their successes and stuff like that. So you just got to kind of take both into it and say, okay, what should I pick out of this? What should I learn from my parents? So it is important, but I think it's just understanding like our different generation now and what we can take, like what our 20s bring to us, you know? And I feel like I just don't want to lose the sense of like the happiness and innocence that we had when we were in college or like high school, you know? And I think everyone doesn't want to like adulting.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I still sit here sometimes and I'm like, oh, God, college.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do the schoolwork. But, like, you know, I think, like, people, like, I'm going to use my dad as an example again, just because I feel like he's so different than people of his generation.
Yeah.
He's 61, but, like, he kind of just, like, screwed around and he's, like, he really, you know, he just kind of, like, calls himself an entrepreneur. He's, like, he's a realtor. He does a lot of other things, too, but he, like, worked hard, but he has such this great work-life balance where, like, he's 61 and he goes on, like, he now goes on fishing trips. He's like, like, I don't need the money. I'll go on. I'd rather spend the money that I could have made on, like, having an experience. And I think the experiences will always mean more to him. And I, like, strive to be like that because, you know, it's so important because that is true. At the end of the day, you can't take the money with you, but you always have those memories, like, and people will always have those memories of you. Yeah. And so, like, I just love how he, like, he worked hard, but, like, also, like you were saying, like, smart. Like, I don't, if I wasn't alive, I don't know what he did, but whatever he did worked out really well. So.
Yeah. No, exactly. And that's big part of, like, understanding that, that life and work balance. And can, the tough thing is, like, can 20-year-olds and can 30-year-olds make that balance happen? Can the work and life balance still happen at our age? And I think it can. I think you just have to find if you're working underneath someone, you have to find the right like attitude and I guess right respect and say, hey, this is my life. Like also, like I'm not going to work 90, 80 hours a week for you just to take basically like control of me. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you got to stand up for that fact. And I think a lot of people sometimes like they get stuck in between, yes, I know I got to work hard to get to the top, and then overworking and not living their life. Like you don't want to keep working. We're already, I mean, I'm almost 25. I think, Tanya, you're already 25. You're 25, right?
Yeah.
We're already like in our mid-20s and we're sitting here. I know. And we're all sitting here and it's like 5 years ago we were in college.
Yeah.
And it's like weird to think, you know, what time has gone past. What can you say those other years, some of these hard years that we've worked, which ones can you take back and say, you know, that was a good year? Some of these years you're like, damn, I did just like work and I didn't do anything.
That was literally the last 3 years.
Yeah. So
I mean, last summer was the first fun summer.
The other day, and like, I don't know if anybody knows much about social work, but we're not paid that great for what we do. However, I was like looking at this, and I don't have my master's degree, and like, kind of hard to do certain jobs in social work without one. But I was like looking to see online, like, what if it would be worth getting my master's degree, like how much will I make more?
Yeah.
And I saw this job posting was like, you have to have your master's degree, 2 years of experience, all this, and the salary was $55,000 a year.
Yeah.
Can you imagine spending all that time and money getting a master's degree just to come out making $55,000 a year? I was like, oh my god,
that's bad.
But that doesn't even, and like, I was like, that's not like,
it's not
really
worth
not
it.
that much different than what I like. That's not for your master's. That's not it.
Exactly.
Like,
We were talking
like,
about
I
that.
look back at college and there was a lot of things that I was like, oh, that's a good memory, but they don't have to do with the work I did in college. So
Yeah.
I was thinking about how much I don't use
Well,
my degree, and the more and more, like, I think people should look into phrase that there's nothing special about that. So it's just interesting. That's kind of one of those like persona things, like what people put on you anyway, like all those things that you put, like, you do you, boo boo.
yeah.
So.
No, exactly. We were talking about like PTs, like we were talking
Yeah.
about PTs
Yeah.
because we work alongside PTs, and
You-
some
you
of these
work.
PTs how they're like literally like, yeah, why did I go an extra 4 years to be in $200,000 in debt
Yeah.
and I make 55 grand? You know what I'm saying?
Shit money.
And it's like, that sucks. And it's like, you have to weigh out the means of, is schooling worth. There's so many people that are successful out there that have a high school degree. There's so many
Literally.
people that are
Yeah.
successful with just a bachelor's degree. I mean,
Yeah.
it just depends.
I got a friend who didn't she ran out of high school, got a cosmetology degree. That girl makes way more money than I do. So.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. It's just like,
Okay.
it just depends on what you're looking for. And I think at the end of the day, going back to like us being mid-20s, is do we want to be 30 and then look back and say, where'd these 5 years go? Do we want to be 35 and look back and say, where'd these 5 go? Like at some
I feel like we're
point,
already
you
getting
have
to that
to.
point where I sit here and think, I'm like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
I'm almost 26, and I feel like I haven't done shit. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel like I've done
It's-
anything. Like,
it's
I own
weird.
I own a company. I partially own another company. That's the coolest thing ever. But I still live at home with my parents. It's like I'm not doing anything.
It's,
Well, and
it's,
like that's how I feel. Like I own a home, but like my entire paycheck goes to my mortgage. So like,
yeah.
is that like
Yeah.
what else? I can't do anything now.
Yeah, you just kind of feel. I feel like you feel stuck in a way. Like you just feel like what more is there to do?
Yeah.
I think what I'm starting to realize is you just have to really start to love your everyday life. Like you have to stop. Like I feel like we get so worried on like what's next. Like I got to do this. I got to do that. It's like. We see people getting married. We see people having kids. We see people doing this. Or Tanya's got a house. Like, everyone goes at their own pace, and that's fine.
Yeah,
but I think you got to enjoy it. Like, it just gets to a point where you just realize you got to start enjoying things.
Yeah.
And you got to love your day-to-day routine. If you don't love your day-to-day routine, like, that is your life. We're living in the now.
Yeah.
And I think we just get worked up like, tomorrow will be the weekend, or tomorrow I'll have this. It's like, no, you got to enjoy now, you know? And that's tough, and I think that's one of the harder things to recognize.
Super important to think about. Like you're right. Like we're all at our own pace, but you have to think about these things too. Like I own my own home because I lived with my mom for a long enough a time to like save up. She charged me rent, and my parents are realtors, so I never have to pay any realtor fees. Like you have to think about those things. So like that's how I would be able to do that. Or like look at somebody with a family, like a husband for me, like a husband and kids.
Yeah.
He has no career to show for it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody has something.
Yeah.
So, like, don't necessarily look at their life and be like, oh, that should be my life. It's because you don't necessarily, like, you know, like, yes, like, it could be impressive that I have a house, but then I, like, break it down and it's not that impressive. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's things like that, too. So, like, just because it looks good on the outside doesn't mean it's exactly what it should be.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I think that's super important to think about in our 20s, and that's why, like, bringing it back to the book, like, I think it's important to read these kind of books because it makes you feel like, okay, like, listen, I'll take as much help as I can get. Like, I need as much help as I can get because I have no idea what I'm doing, and I think it's good to remember that, like, neither does anybody else. Neither did our parents. Even though, like, when we were little, we're like, oh, yeah, they know exactly what they're doing, but now I'm the same age, and I'm just like, they were clueless. Like,
no one does. It's
Nobody
true.
has an idea.
No one has an idea of what they're really doing.
Seek out help if you need it, and if you don't, then don't. And if not, sit around and drink a beer and talk about how shitty it is with your friends. Like, you're on it together.
I think things started hitting me. This is when I started looking at things like, okay, when you're 15 years old and you're like, I'm waiting to get my license. You hit 16, you hit your license. You're like, cool, now I got my license. This is sweet. Okay, then you're like, okay, now I'm 18 years old. Cool, I'm like legally adult. That's awesome.
Buy
Then you're
tobacco.
20, yeah, and then you're like, I can, buy tobacco. I can do what I want.
Put those Swisher Sweets on the roof now.
Yeah, I can go chew when I want. And now it's like, now you're like waiting for 21. Everyone waits for 21, and they're like, yeah, now I can officially drink. And then 22 happens, and then you're like, okay.
Oh shit.
And then 23 happens, and then 24, and then you realize that like, okay, oh, now I'm excited to like get my first job. Oh, now I'm excited to like maybe open my own company. Oh, I'm excited to have a kid. Everything like that. I feel like we're just a species, like as a society, we're always looking at what's next, what's next.
We're so busy
absolutely.
looking forward to the next thing that we forget to enjoy what we already have right now.
We forget it, and you just got to stop like living life like that. I think you just got to start realizing that.
Yeah.
Shit, we got to spend this time. I mean, before this, we were struggling for an hour and a half doing stuff, but that sort of stuff, you just got to look back and just be like, you know what?
It's funny, like,
Screw it.
when we were sitting here trying to connect all the, Skype to Zoom, all of that, it was like, I'm like, oh my god, I'm wasting.
Yeah.
But looking back, like, it was funny, and like, it's something we'll remember on how this wasn't easy, and like, I think that's like almost a metaphor for your 20s. It's just that, like,
well,
like, this is so beautifully messed up. Like, it's almost like this can't be real, and it's so funny that, like, me and my girlfriends, we sit around and we're like sitting here and we're like, this can't be real life, but honestly, this is hysterical, and at least we're all kind of drunk together. Like, like, I guess we're just walking through life, like, okay, but at least it's all of us, and like, looking back, like, I think that makes us some of the cool people that we are, but it all is just so confusing.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was trying to say was like, you could tell we were getting antsy.
Oh, very much so.
We're like, okay, we want to do this, get out, like stuff like that. But then we realized, like, we're adults. You can do what you want. It doesn't really matter. Like, at the end of the day, just don't rush to try to get to the next part. Because I think sometimes we always, like I said, we just always do that. We're at work and then we rush to try to get home, or we're at this and then we try to go to that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
I mean, shut up.
I think my
Christian's
supervisor,
tired.
so
Dude,
we
I'm
have
exhausted.
meetings, and like my supervisor asked us, like, what's your why? And like I was thinking about that, like, why are you doing this? Like, she was talking about social work, like, which is sort of kind of interesting, you guys the same thing, but I think like that's important in life. Like, why am I doing things? Like, actually be intentional about the things you're doing versus just doing them because you know you have to. That makes sense. Like, whether that's getting up, taking your shower, like drinking your coffee, doing your yoga, whatever it is that you do in the morning or the night, like working out, like all those things, like be intentional with it, which is kind of what you were saying, like just like enjoy what you're doing because the next thing will come whether you like it or not. You might as well just keep on keeping on.
Yeah. No, and that has to go back with like the subconscious that a lot of times, you know, we can be saying one thing and then thinking another thing. Like Christian right now, he's zoned out. He's zoned out for a second.
I'm always zoned out, dude.
But
CTE.
CTE concussions over here.
Oh man.
No, but I mean, it's just like we get tired and then we let our brain wander, and I think that's why. I mean, I'll do yoga in the morning. I think that's why you realize it is tough to be like in the moment with things. You know what I'm saying? And taking that intentional time to sit in the moment and say, hey, like, this is what we're doing. This is what we're up to. Like, that's important. And I think it's easy to let our mind wander and let our subconscious take over. And the more you can be intentional with things, the more that life becomes a better memory, you know? But
You might not resent your 20s as much.
huh?
You might not resent your 20s as much.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, Tanya and I, we're single here. Christian's in a relationship.
Yeah.
Good for you, Christian.
Yeah.
Good for you. But,
Very lovely, too.
I mean, talk about, well, okay. I'll ask Tanya this. Why your choices of being single, or what do you enjoy about being single though? What's something that you can take away and say, hey, like, I choose to be single because this is what I'm doing right now?
I mean, to be honest, I didn't choose to be single. But I think
Okay.
you know what's important about. But I'm going somewhere with this. The things that is like like the things that I enjoy about being single is finding out my worth and the things that matter to me,
Yeah.
and the things that I find important in a relationship. And I mean, like, it's almost been a year since I got out of my last relationship, but the reason the relationship ended is not because anybody did anything wrong necessarily. I just felt that he could never be where I wanted him to be, and he didn't love me enough. And I was like, I don't have time for this then. Like, and he was like, yeah, you're probably right. Like, I'm probably not ever gonna get there. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, we can still be friends. And we moved on, But I think also seeing this weird season of my friends' lives, where they found really great guys, and then like now, they then had to find out their worth, and those relationship ended, and like things like that. And then they re-find somebody who's amazing, and then it's great. So like this whole process of like what I enjoy about being single is that I have time to think about what being in a relationship actually looks like, and how it should be, and how working on making myself my best self for my future partner, so that way I don't have to go through this whole up and down thing over and over again. We can just, obviously, I was gonna say we can just be happy all the time. That's not realistic either, but like at least I know that I'm very intentional on my behaviors. I'm a very strong personality, and I'm sure Shane's probably rolling his eyes at that right now. Like, okay, yeah, you really are though. Like, I have to be like mindful of the way I interact with people, the way I like to people, and like take away things from my past relationships, stuff like that. So, like, I think that's one of the great things too about being older and going through these things. And like, I realize, like, being single, that maybe I'm not ready to be in a relationship. Like, I think I am, or I want to be. Maybe I'm just not ready. Maybe I haven't matured to that level. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, it gives you the perspective to look a lot at yourself and say, okay, what do I value, and what else do I want for myself, and what's important to me, and what are my flaws, and what are my good things, what are my bad things. Like, there's a lot of things that you get to look at with that. But I mean, on the other hand, go ahead, Christian, you being in a relationship. What do you feel like being in a relationship in your 20s, and then you had a relationship like before? What would you take away, kind of how it shapes you like as a person and what you are looking for? Because I guess I'm just saying, in these relationships now that we're in our 20s, it's different, right?
Yeah,
it's a whole different deal than like
whole different ballgame.
Yeah, a whole different ballgame than high school relationships or like some college relationships.
For sure.
Like that.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'll refer back to my previous relationship before the one I'm in now, because when her and I started dating, we hit it off right away. I was like 1,000% sure I was going to marry this girl, and was pretty much ready to. And it kind of came to the point where we kind of drifted apart. And you look back on it and realize how much of it, like for me, I realized how much of a child I was when I was 22 when we started dating. And looking back over the year that I was not with anybody before Aaron and I started like really talking and kind of getting together, I think during that period of time I learned obviously what I wanted in a relationship, but what I was missing for myself in that previous one.
Yeah, like,
so,
like in the relationship.
Yeah. Right, like no, not even after the relationship. So after her and I broke up, I looked back on it and realized there was a lot of things that I felt I wasn't getting, and I felt like I was being pushed to go certain directions in certain, situations where at the same time I wasn't giving forth my best effort in certain areas as well. Especially when earlier we talked about where I was dedicating work to more of my time than when I would be, out at her house. Yeah. And, and then so. And
at that time it felt like the normal, right? Like you're like, well, this is my life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she was in nursing school. She was a CNA at the same time. So she's, going to school 4 days a week, working 3 12s a week. And so we were both very busy. We weren't really like, super locked in. And in the grand scheme of things, it kind of came down to it's like, well, for a year I was still sitting there, I'm like, definitely still going to marry that girl. We're going to get back together, and then eventually, Aaron came along and all of that changed more or less. And now, being in this relationship, I feel myself putting forth a better effort to show her that I love her and how I feel about certain things. And I'm more vocal about things that bother me now, whereas before I would just kind of shelter that within myself and bury it. And I'm a person that buries shit left and right until I kind of just let it out. So I've learned now to really kind of be more open about how I'm feeling and not really hide feelings. I mean, I'm still not great at it, but I think that's one of my biggest things. And I think one thing about Aaron and I is we don't really not tell each other anything. So we're kind of that point, whereas before in my past relationships, there was, a wall there where we wouldn't cross a boundary where we wouldn't tell each other things. And so now, at 25, I may still, who knows what's going to happen, going forward, but at least I've learned now at 25 a little bit about myself, a little bit about what I want in a relationship and how to kind of give myself forth in a relationship, more than anything, I think. I think really between 2017 and 2020, I've grown 1,000%. So, going from 22 to 25 now almost to 26, it's, tenfold who I was 4 years ago. And I think in a way that also has led my own personal life in a different direction. At one point I felt like I could give my all to Elite Speed, where after a while I kind of realized, okay, I kind of grew up there, fuck that place. Not in a bad way. But you eventually want to kind of leave home.
Well, you want to leave home. You want to venture out. You've learned different things more. You've grown up. And now it's your time to leave. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's kind of crazy, like you saying, well, why I was asking, you were saying, I've learned, the missing parts of what I had in that relationship. And that's good from, learning the relationships. And what I was going to say was, I feel like sometimes people get in relationships and they learn the missing parts in the relationship. So they know something's missing as the relationship's going on. And then people don't make decisions to change it. So what I was saying was, I felt like that has happened in a couple my past relationships, or just past things that I had where while it was happening, I felt like there was things already missing. And then I chose to be single, basically, because I felt that need on myself that, I'm still not ready, or I'm not where I want to be yet. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's for me,
I should be you oversee it because you're well, all my friends are in relationships, so I should be in a relationship. Or I'm getting to the age where this is it. Or things like that. Or you care for them so much that you don't even care that this is fucked up for yourself.
Well, I mean, I would say that honestly, towards the end of that relationship that I was in, she was pushing me to try to put more effort towards her. Yet I was 23, 24 years old. I don't remember how old I was. And still in my mind, I'm I need to be putting all my effort to work because I need to make money so we can go get married and go move to wherever we want to move to and buy a house. When she finished nursing school. So my whole mind was work, when in reality it was all me. It was really me saying me, fuck this. And this relationship didn't matter. And that's kind of how she took it. At the same time, it wasn't all one street, it wasn't it's a two-way street, so it did kind of go both ways. So there was a period of time where I was putting the effort into where I thought I needed to be putting the effort in, and it wasn't reciprocated on the other end. So it was this back and forth fight where it's who's gonna win, and who's gonna give the most effort, and then it just kind of fell apart.
No. And that just makes me think of a question for Tanya as a female, especially in these generations now. Roles have changed, and of course women have jobs, women are very independent, everything like that. What do you see, what are you valuing? Because Christian was just I'm trying to make money to get a house, stuff like that.
Well, because I was trying to plan the future
with her and everything like that. And a lot of pressure on that we feel as guys. A lot of pressure is on us guys. I feel we put that pressure on ourselves, shit, we need to get make the girl feel secure, I guess, in a way. So asking you, Tanya, what would you feel looking for a guy nowadays? I understand money is still important, but what else do you value in a guy right now instead of oh, I need all that security that he makes a good amount of money to take care of us. What else do you value instead of just, oh, he's got to make over like 80 grand? What if he makes like 40 grand right now and you still love this guy? Like, what do you value now, I guess, in a man, and what's important to you?
Well, I think like security or like someone to take care of me is not even a thing for me because I own my own home. I make my own money. I pay all my own bills, and I have for like since I graduated college. So that to me is not like a big, like, I don't need that. I already have that. I've done it for myself. So for me, what's important is like somebody who's like, I don't want to say not secure financially necessarily, but like secure in who they are. Like I don't need somebody, like we're all self-conscious. I have my own self-conscious, but I don't need you to be like that to get in the way of our relationship. I also want somebody who makes me laugh. I want my best friend. Like, listen, if I'm in it for the long haul, I am a child of divorce and I am not getting divorced. Not fucking happening. So I need my best friend. Like I want that person. So like, yes, you have room to grow. I have room to grow too. Let's do it together. We can be kids together. We can grow up together. That's fine. Like I don't need that. I can give myself all the financial security I need, all of that. Like as long as he's happy with what he's doing, or like not even that, like as long as he's finding out who he is or actively trying to at least, then we're on the same page. Like that's what I want. I just want somebody who wants the best for themselves, wants the best for me. And like if something's not working, talk about it, you know, like the an adult relationship, but I don't necessarily need for my man to feel the burden of taking care of me. Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense. I wanted, I don't know, guys to hear that because, I mean, even in my head sometimes, I mean, I grew up in a family, my dad owns his own business and my mom's a stay-at-home mom, but my mom still works the office at home, but my dad's like the one who makes the money, right? And my mom was the one who stayed home. And I just feel like nowadays that, you know, that these roles have changed, and now I feel like some guys still have this pressure on them, like, I gotta have everything ready to take care of my woman and everything, and be like, I gotta make over 100 grand and I gotta have all this stuff. And I don't know, it's just good to hear that, you know, it's okay that if she makes more money, it's okay. I mean,
trust your masculinity, nobody cares about
exactly. And I think you said it right, where like, it's what's more important that is you have a strong foundation in who you are, and you're secured in yourself, and you're done with those like insecurities of other little things that aren't, like, you know, probably.
You can make money throughout your life. That can change. Your job can change. Your house can change.
Exactly.
But who you are typically doesn't change. I mean, it might alter a little bit, but like I want to fall in love with like the person, not what he's around, like not his padding, if that makes sense. Like not his the bonuses that come with him or whatever it may be. Like, yes, would I love to be a stay-at-home mom who could just stay at home and raise my children? Absolutely. But you know, like, am I okay with that not happening? Also, absolutely. I think like I said, my parents being divorced, like I did grow up with my mom being a homemaker. She also did my dad's books for like his business and stuff like that. Kind of like similar to what your mom does. But then my parents got divorced and my mom's like, well, fuck. Like, I haven't worked in 20 years. So like, then she had to self-make herself over in her 40s. Like, she had to figure out, and now she, you know, she's pushing pushing 6 figures in a matter of like 10 years. Like, she went from 0 to 100. So like, I just don't find value in like, I want to have something for myself as well. Not saying like that's just what works for me. I'm not knocking women who stay at home with their kids or like who don't have a career or anything like that, because like that works for them. I've just been given the opportunity to like have a career before kids. So I think I'm probably gonna maintain my career if that's able, because like I enjoy it and I enjoy having that for myself, knowing I do that on my own and I can support myself. Obviously, I'm not doing it in case I get a divorce, but just so I have that. Like, fuck you, I don't need you, but like, I want you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. And when kids come in the picture, I mean, that's a time that you talk about your careers, and then you figure it out from there, and that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, to understand that you're both at an independent point. I mean, as Christian over here, I mean, you started your own business. Right? that when you start your own business at the beginning, always, right?
Yeah.
You're not making a ton of money, and then you build up though.
Exactly.
And
I mean, I think
that's like the insecurity that sometimes, like, if someone's going to start their own business, that risk that you take and everything, it's like, yeah, okay, I'm not making 6 figures right now, but give me time. But you're pursuing your passion and you're pursuing something that should matter a lot to, I guess, a female or to someone else.
But it probably does. I mean, so your girlfriend, I mean, like, we're gonna have only met her like 3 times, but I'm saying, like, probably she's not in love with you because, you know, you make all this money, you have a great job, whatever.
Yeah.
She's in love with you because you have a drive to do these things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, that's probably, like, that has to be it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, she seems shown up to be that way. I don't see her being like, you need to take care of me.
No, I mean, I would say she supports me more than I support myself. I mean, she owns more of the athletic apparel that my company is selling than I own, which, I mean, it's ridiculous.
That's the goal.
I mean, honestly, it's just, it's weird that, you know, you can find somebody that kind of puts, like, me before her in a way, whereas at the same time, she's still pushing herself to pursue her own dreams. I mean, she just, you know, put an offer in on a house that was accepted. She, you know, is doing huge things at the same time sitting here trying to get me to go take the next step in building a business or starting a supplement company or opening a gym. It's just like, the girl has one hell of a brain, because I couldn't do that.
Well, and it sounds like, too, like, if you're thinking about, like, if you're listening to what you're saying too, like, you know, she's buying a house, she's doing all this too, and, like, obviously you're supporting her too, because you're sitting here bragging about her and, like, all the things that she does, and that's amazing. And the thing is, like, y'all are willing to grow together, and your masculinity, pride or whatever has not gotten in the way of, like, she's doing her own thing, I'm doing my own thing, and we're supporting each other together, versus her being like, oh my God, she's being successful, or, like, whatever. So I need to be up there too, like, that kind of thing. Like, you guys are literally growing together, and that's super cool.
Yeah,
so
I definitely think so.
I mean,
It's fun. I mean, it's cool. It's, you know, I'm having more fun, like, helping her move. Like, she went and bought some couches today, and I got to move. I had fun with that. And then, you know, like, just stupid little shit. Like, I'm probably gonna end up building her a coffee table for her house, and I'm more excited about that than, like, designing a fucking t-shirt for my company. I'm more excited about that because I can build something that can go in her house that she owns. So I don't know, it's kind of a badass thing, I guess.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's good. That's what you gotta, like, feed off each other in relationships like that. You have to support each other, and you have to make, like,
just threw the microphone off the damn table.
But yeah, I mean, just finding that support and finding that one person that's gonna, you know, stand by you through what you need to get through and what they need to get through. And I mean, that's some memories that you got to sit back and say, you know, wherever this goes, that I can, you know, say this was a good time, that this grew me as a person, and I hope it grew you as a person and everything like that. So, I mean, that's big.
Yeah,
that's big. I mean, I wanted to bring this up because one of the quotes at the beginning of, like, chapter 2 in the book had, I didn't write down what you said because it wasn't her, she put the quote in, but it says, secrets of the universe think in terms of, like, energy, frequency, and vibration. It was one of the scientists that said this. And I think of this, like, all the time of, we gotta think, like, you talking about, like, your girlfriend, or, like, you talking about us talking about, like, good vibes and everything like that, of reading how does energy have to intertwine with how we remember things and how we care about things and how life goes about in a positive way, I guess. And what I was, like, bringing up to was, if you don't have that good positive energy, especially in, like, a relationship, like you're saying, then that's when I feel that you don't have the right way that you're going about life, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it just kind of came up to me of, like, how important because we were talking about memories and how we just look at the next thing in life and, like, what's going to happen, and we don't read the energy around us, like the positive vibes around us, to make us remember, oh, you know, I should be living in the moment. I should be living in this time, and then go from there. But that was something that I just pulled from that book. Was there any big things that you liked in the book, Tanya, so far?
I just really like this book. I told you to read it, so
You did tell us to read it.
obviously I like it. I just think it's like it's a super motivational book. It's a super like get up and slap you on the ass kind of book. Like, you can do it, which I think like I just need all the, like I said, I need all the help I can get. I've never been a fan of like quote self-help books, but I think that this one, you know, considering she cusses all the time, clearly she's fooling me. But I mean, like, I have also like I find myself getting in these ruts where like I'm sad about work or like depressed about work, like overwork or whatever, or with my life, like I can't find the motivation to get up and work out in the morning or work out in the afternoon or do anything sometimes. So I think that it's just nice to like be able, there's literally a chapter for everything in this book. So I like really overall like it. And like you were saying about energy, I think it applies to like everything in our lives. Like our 20s is hard enough. We don't need to put negative energy into it. You might as well be positive about it. Like I said, it's like beautifully fucked up. So your 20s, so you might as well like sit and laugh about it and be like, oh well, maybe our 30s will be better, like whatever.
Yeah.
I just, it's just everything's in it. So clearly I like it.
Yeah. And she even brought up at the beginning that she was like, yeah, I came from a very great like family, not much struggles and stuff like that. Like she talks about that in the introduction and everything, and then she goes to really talk about like, but what's important, even though I already came from a great family, I had everything that I needed, I wanted to find my true potential. And that was like her quoting that, like she wanted to really even find what else is she out here for, you know? And it's not just about growing up in a great life. It's more like, what am I here in this life? Like, what am I doing here? Even though I had a great time or I was dealt a really good hand, what am I going to do with that, you know? And
I think anybody can live a life.
Yeah.
How, like, what are you going to do with it? Like, what quality will you have? What are you, I think there's like, it's Egyptian, I think that's what it is. There's like this thing where it says like when you get to heaven, they don't ask you like, did you do good things? They ask, do other people see you as doing good things? Like, do other people remember you as a good person, not for you a good person, kind of thing? Yeah. So, I mean, you have to find yourself before you can be a good person. Like, you have to be your best self. You have to show up every day, no matter how hard it is. And however you get motivation, whatever works for you, do it because you found it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, Christian, you have anything else?
I mean, I think just thinking, like, for all of us that are, you know, in our 20s, we just have to keep, like, pushing forward and keep going. Like, you really can't stop, and you can't really allow negative, small, impactful things impact the, like, big picture of your life, because you always have tomorrow, and you can always go win the next day or win the next day after that. Yeah. And like, you're always going to find your way out of a hole, you know, whether you dig a tunnel out of the hole or you can climb back out of it, you're going to find your way, you know, to a better place, a better situation. You're not going to be stuck in something forever. And if you feel stuck, get the fuck out of it. I mean, that's for lack of a better way to say it, get the fuck out of that bad situation. You know?
There we go.
Yeah. I mean,
and I think it's important to remember, you're not the only one. It might be a unique struggle, but the struggle is real with everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like this whole, like, I hate to bring it up. It's like the whole fucking coronavirus situation. Yeah. Like, we're going to get out of it. Like, everybody's going to find their way out of it. People that have lost their jobs, you'll find a better job than you were in before. And you know what I mean? Like, you're going to find your way out of the situation no matter what happens.
Yeah. I mean, it's just having that mindset that you have to have that positive outlook. Because some people will, like, they'll let themselves break down, and then they'll choose like the sorrow, they'll choose like the negative vibes, and then they'll put themselves in a dark hole. And it's like, eventually you got to stop hurting yourself and choose the path that you want to make, the choice that's going to make your life great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, I've seen it with friends, like people choose a darker path and they don't want to make a change, and you can't change someone if they don't want to change. And I think that's big, like you're saying, like you got to get through it. When you have a negative, impactful thing that happens, just get through it. Keep the big picture in mind and have like a goal at the end, right?
Yeah.
And don't put a timeline on a goal. I was actually Gary Vee. I always bring up Gary Vee, but I see him on Instagram, and he brought up like the moment that you put a goal on a timeline is the moment that you lose. And that kind of actually struck me pretty tough on that, just because there's always something like you want to learn a skill or you want to do something in life, or we talk about like, hey, I want to have a house by like 28, or like, hey, I want to have kids at this age, or hey, I'm going to set my goal, I want to have like this career set at this time. Like the more I thought about that, I was like, you can't do that with goals like anymore. You got to just go. When it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
You know, you could be 60 years old. Like they have all those billionaires up there who were like, they were 40 years old when they started this company. They were 50 years old. They were 60 years old. Like you just can't put a timeline on it. You just got to do what you got to do and just hope for the best on it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But you have any last thoughts over there, Tanya?
Nope, I ran out of sangria now, so that's just something.
Hell yeah.
You don't have any hammered thoughts to tell the folks?
Listen, I'm with this, not to bring up coronavirus again, but with this quarantine, it's taking me a whole lot more and more each day to get those hammered thoughts.
You're getting used to the same dosage. You gotta up the dosage.
Yeah, I need more than a bartender, but I guess my real bartender.
Yeah. Exactly. That's why for our 420 episode, we should have had you on there. We'll be smoking weed.
You should, yeah. Go. No, you need to have Gretchen up there. She'll smoke it.
Yeah, we'll get Gretchen. Be like, what's
Mary
up?
Jane.
Little Mary Jane. Little Mary Jane.
Hey, we live in Colorado. It's perfectly legal.
Hey,
You're
yeah.
indulging in an adult substance.
People did this before 420.
You like
before it was legal.
acid out and around. I'm doing around kids.
420.
My only disclaimer.
Exactly. Well, any last thoughts for both of you?
No, I'm good. Game on. Have a good weekend. Have a
Thanks,
good
guys,
week.
Game
for
on.
zooming me. All the effort that went into
Yeah.
it.
No, thanks for joining us, and yeah, we'll stay in touch about the book and everything. And yeah, no, it's always good to have a woman on the show and tell us about your mindset and your thoughts and everything, and help some of these guys out here and girls too.
Well,
Yep.
if this helps anyone, great. I'm just glad to help.
Yeah,
But yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us on episode 12.
Episode 12.
Wow.
12.
Episode 12,
Big
that's a lot.
12.
Yep. We'll be zooming in another guest next week, and we will be going from there. Thanks, everyone.
See ya.